They all described the same face, but the last person who saw it didn't describe it at all, because by then it was already pretending to be him. In the winter of 1976, in a place so quiet you could hear your own heartbeat at night, people started reporting something they couldn't explain. Not lights in the sky, not shadows outside, something inside their homes. At first, no one connected the stories. Different people, different houses, miles apart. But one detail never changed: the face. The first report came from a schoolteacher, a quiet man, routine-driven, the kind of person who notices when something is even slightly off, which is why what happened that night terrified him more than anything. He woke up at exactly 2:13 a.m., not suddenly, not from a dream, just awake, and immediately he knew something was in the room. No sound, no movement, but the air felt wrong, heavy. He didn't sit up, didn't move. He just turned his eyes toward the corner, and that's when he saw it. Not clearly, not fully, but enough. Something was there, too tall, too still, and it wasn't on the floor. It was hovering, slowly. It began to lower itself, not stepping, not shifting, just descending. Like gravity worked differently for it. His throat tightened. He tried to speak. Nothing came out. As it got closer, his eyes adjusted just enough to see its face, or what was supposed to be a face, smooth pale, incomplete. No real eyes, no real mouth, just shallow shapes, like someone tried to recreate a human face from memory and got it wrong. It leaned closer, too close, and then its face moved. Not a smile, not an expression, an adjustment, like it realized something was off and was trying to fix it, trying again. The next moment, he was sitting upright in bed, morning light everywhere, everything normal, except for one thing. The mirror in his room was now facing directly toward him. He hadn't moved it, and somehow that felt worse than the thing itself. He never told anyone, but after that night, he avoided mirrors. Not because he was afraid of seeing something behind him, but because he was afraid of what might be looking back. 2 weeks later, a ranch worker reported something similar. Same night, same feeling, same presence. But his story added something new, something worse. He woke up and saw someone standing near his window. At first, he thought it was a person, until he noticed it had no shadow. Then it turned, slowly, too slowly, and he saw the face. Same smooth surface, same unfinished features. But this time, it didn't just watch, it copied. When he shifted, it shifted. When he breathed faster, so did it. Perfect timing, perfect mimicry. Then suddenly, it stopped and just stared, and in that moment he realized something that made his stomach drop. It wasn't copying movement, it was learning behavior, learning him. The next morning, when there was dirt on the inside of his window, from the inside, no entry, no damage, no explanation, just that. And the feeling that something had stood closer to him than anything should. Still, no one connected the stories. Until the third case, a mother, 2 children. She saw it 3 nights in a row. The first night, it stood at the end of the hallway, watching. The second night, it was closer, right outside her door. She stayed still, pretending to sleep, because something deep inside her told her, don't react. And the third night, It was beside her bed, close enough that she could feel it. Not touch, not breath, presence, heavy, focused, intent. She slowly opened her eyes just enough to see it. Same shape, same face. But now, it was different, closer to human. Not perfect, but closer. It tilted its head, studying her. And then, for a brief second, its face changed, shifted, until it almost looked like hers. Her heart started racing. And then, without sound, without movement, she heard it, inside her mind, almost right. It raised its hand, hovered inches from her face, measuring, comparing, memorizing. Then it was gone. The next morning, her child said something that broke everything. "Mum, why were you in my room last night?" She hadn't moved. Not once. That's when people started talking, comparing details. Same figure, same face, same purpose. Watching, learning, becoming. And then things got worse. Small things, subtle. People forgetting conversations, forgetting objects, forgetting themselves. One man looked in a mirror and didn't recognize his own face for 2 full seconds. 2 seconds. That felt like something was deciding what he should look like. And then, just like that, everything stopped. No more sightings, no more figures. Nothing. People said it was over. But years later, a researcher found something disturbing. Every encounter ended the same way. The entity got close, very close, closer than necessary. Like it was confirming something, finalizing. And after that moment, the encounters stopped for that person. Not the area, just them. His final note was never published, but one line survived. They weren't studying us. They were correcting us. And if that's true, and then think about this, if something practiced being you again and again, how would you know the moment it finally got it perfect? So tonight, when you look into a mirror, don't just check behind you. Look carefully at yourself. Because if something replaced you perfectly, the only person who might notice is the version of you that's already gone. The tape showed footage from inside Daniel's house, and 3 days before he even moved in, and near the end of the recording, someone was standing behind him. The box was hidden behind the wall, not buried deep, not locked away, just sitting there, waiting. And the strange part, the house wasn't even old. It had been built less than 10 years earlier. That's what made Daniel's chest tighten when he pulled the dusty VHS tape from inside the drywall, because written across the label, in faded black marker, were 3 words: for the next owner. Daniel had only lived there for 6 months. Small town, quiet neighborhood, cheap price, too cheap. But after the divorce, he didn't care anymore. The silence felt comforting. No arguments, no memories, no people, just empty rooms and peace. At least, that's what he thought. Because during the first day he moved in, the neighbors acted strange. Most avoided eye contact completely. But one woman across the street kept staring at the house like she wanted to warn him about something. Twice Daniel caught her looking toward the upstairs hallway window. Not at him, at the house itself. The storm started just after midnight. Rain slammed against the roof, while Daniel worked upstairs trying to fix a dark water stain spreading across the hallway ceiling. The drywall felt soft, rotten, so he grabbed a hammer and punched through it. Something dropped inside the wall, a small black box. Dust exploded into the hallway. Daniel crouched down slowly. Inside the box was the VHS tape. No company logo, no date, just that message. For the next owner. Most people would have thrown it away, but loneliness changes people, especially curiosity. The next morning, Daniel drove across town searching for an old VHS player. He finally found one in a nearly empty thrift store. The cashier froze the moment he saw the tape. Not fear exactly. Recognition. "Where did you get this?" Daniel shrugged. "Inside my wall." The cashier stared a little too long, then quietly said, "You should be careful with things people hide." That night, Daniel plugged the VHS player into the television in his bedroom. The tape hissed immediately. Static flooded the screen. Flickering lines crawled across the image. Then suddenly, a hallway appeared. Dark, narrow, silent. Daniel frowned instantly because he recognized it. It was his hallway upstairs. Same crooked light fixture, same stain near the floorboards, same cracked paint near the ceiling, except the footage looked older, much older than the house should have been. Then Daniel noticed something worse, a family photo hanging near the stairs. His family photo, the one still packed inside a moving box downstairs. The camera slowly moved forward. Shaky breathing echoed behind it. Whoever was filming sounded terrified. The footage reached the staircase, then suddenly stopped moving, like the person holding the camera had frozen, listening. Daniel leaned closer to the screen. Then, creak. A floorboard groaned upstairs. In the real house, Daniel's blood ran cold. Another creak followed. Slow, heavy, like someone carefully shifting their weight on the second floor. But Daniel lived alone. He muted the TV. Silence. Then, thump. Directly above him, Daniel grabbed a flashlight from the kitchen and slowly climbed the stairs. Every light upstairs was off. The hallway was empty. Nothing moved. Nothing breathed. But at the far end of the hallway, his bedroom door stood open. Daniel was certain he'd left it closed. The room looked empty until he noticed the closet door, slightly open, just enough to reveal darkness inside. Daniel stood frozen. Something inside the closet shifted, a soft movement, before the door even moved. "You're imagining things." His voice sounded weak. He pulled the closet open. Nothing inside except hanging clothes. No intruder, no movement. Daniel exhaled shakily, then noticed something hidden behind the coats. A hole in the wall, small, deliberate, and inside it, another VHS tape. This tape had different writing on it. "Play after midnight." Daniel didn't sleep. He sat awake staring at the clock while rain hammered outside. 11:58, 11:59, 12 o'clock. Curiosity won again. It always does. The second tape began differently. No static, no hallway, just darkness, complete darkness, for nearly a minute. Then, click. A light turned on. The camera was inside a bedroom, Daniel's bedroom, except the furniture looked older, dustier, like years had passed. The camera slowly approached the bed, and Daniel's stomach tightened. Someone was sleeping there. A man, facing away from the camera. Then the person filming whispered, "He hears it too." Daniel stopped breathing because the voice sounded exactly like his own. The sleeping man suddenly sat upright, like he'd heard something. Then came a sound from inside the walls, scratching, slow scratching. The man in the bed looked terrified. The The camera backed away shakily. Then the closet door slowly opened by itself. Daniel paused the tape instantly. His hands were shaking now, because at that exact moment his real closet door creaked open behind him. Daniel turned slowly. The closet was opening inch by inch, no sound except wood dragging softly against the floor. Then scratch inside the walls again, closer now, moving, travelling, like something crawling through the house itself. Daniel backed away from the closet. The scratching followed, inside the walls beside him, then behind him, then above him, like it was circling him. He ran. Downstairs, grabbed his keys, left everything else behind, didn't pack clothes, didn't shut off lights, didn't even lock the door. Rain blurred the windshield while he drove through empty roads with shaking hands. At 2:11 a.m., he checked into a roadside motel nearly 20 miles away, and for the first time in hours, he finally breathed. Then he noticed the motel television was already on. Static filled the screen. Daniel slowly stepped closer. The image sharpened. A motel hallway appeared. His motel hallway. Daniel froze. The footage showed someone walking toward his room, holding a camera. The timestamp in the corner read 2:14 a.m., 3 minutes into the future. Daniel stared at the screen in horror. Then the figure entered the motel room, his motel room. The camera angle shifted slightly, and Daniel realized something impossible. The footage was being recorded from behind him. No. The television showed Daniel standing in front of the TV, exactly where he was now. Then slowly, another figure appeared at the doorway behind him, tall, thin, wrong. Its arms hung far too low, its head tilted unnaturally, and even through the static, Daniel could tell it was smiling. The screen suddenly cut black. Then white text appeared. Recorded, December 14th, 1997. Daniel's face drained of colour. That was impossible. The house didn't exist in 1997. Neither did the motel. Then one final message appeared, shaking slightly. If you're watching this, static crackled violently. It already knows where you move next. The motel television shut off instantly. Darkness swallowed the room. Then the static flickered one last time, just for a split second, long enough for Daniel to see himself reflected on the screen, standing perfectly still, directly behind his own back. And from somewhere inside the motel walls came the sound of slow scratching,